Hi, today I am talking about my experiences shiny hunting in the Ruby and Sapphire Safari Zone. I say Ruby and Sapphire because I would love to share my experiences hunting in the Emerald Safari Zone in a different video. That being said, my experiences in the Emerald Safari Zone are much more limited, but nonetheless, they are still something I would love to talk about. Hi, today I am talking about my experiences shiny hunting in the Ruby and Sapphire Safari Zone. I have failed many Pokemon in this Safari Zone, but been successful too, and there are still lots of Pokemon that I would love to capture or reclaim, all of which I am going to talk about in this video. To start off, I thought it would be good to talk about my less fortunate encounters in the Safari Zone, that being with 3 Pokemon that I have failed. The first is a Phanpy, and I am probably most upset about this one because I absolutely adore shiny Phanpy and shiny Donphan. I love the Generation 2 designs. Whilst Generation 3 is my favourite, the Generation 2 designs are my favourite of any Pokemon. I absolutely adore Politoed, I love Donphan, I love Scizor, I love Murkrow. I just think there are so many great designs to these games, and being able to catch some of them in the Safari Zone means that they are just my absolute #1 priority. I failed my shiny Phanpy on a bus to work, and I have the footage here which I will show you now. Moving on from Phanpy, my second failure in the Ruby Sapphire Safari Zone was a Oddish. I found this Oddish whilst shiny hunting with a dear friend of mine, and I failed it pretty much straight away. I have to say, I'm not too upset about this one, as I have found a shiny Oddish in the wild in the Ruby and Sapphire games before, which I evolved into a Blossom. That being said, if I did catch one again, it would be fun to have a shiny Vileplume and compare the two. But the third one is definitely a shiny that I feel more passionately about reclaiming, and that is Heracross. I failed this shiny after about 10 to 12 Safari Balls. This thing was really stubborn and refused to leave. Now, for those who know, this Heracross is a 5% encounter in the wild, which puts it on par with the kind of legends of the Fire Red Leaf Green Safari Zone, being Tauros, Kangaskhan, Chansey, Pinsir, and Scyther. So, having seen it and then failed it is really upsetting, but I am just kind of glad that I got to see it. I absolutely adore this shiny Pokemon, and I know that I could try reclaim it in the wild in Fire Red Leaf Green. In, I believe the area is called Berry Patch in the Sevi Islands. But I just love the thrill of finding a Pokemon in the Safari Zone and catching it in the Safari Ball. So I think if I do ever try make an active effort to reclaim this Heracross, it will be still in the Safari Zone. Whilst I have had my fair share of failures in the Safari Zone, there is one Pokemon that I have successfully caught, and that is Xatu. I caught this Xatu whilst watching an LRXC stream, which just makes it even more special for me. Before watching LRXC, I can't say I was a huge fan of Xatu, but since really getting into his live streams and his content on the Battle Frontier, that has totally changed, and I am now a huge fan of its subtle golden colours. I think this is just a great shiny that I own. Moving on from the shinies I have failed and succeeded with, I want to talk about the shinies that I would love to one day reclaim or capture in the Safari Zone. The first and the most obvious is Phanpy. I would really love to have this back, and it's not too impossible. I don't think its encounter rate is fairly common, so I believe this one is doable, and perhaps it's something I will really focus on this year during this year's Safari Week. Another that I would really love to catch is Psyduck. I think the reason I haven't fully committed to this yet is because I'm just not a huge fan of shiny Golduck. I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to convince myself that it's actually worth it, but I just don't know if it is. But if that happens, I will be going for Psyduck because shiny Psyduck is absolutely incredible. That being said, I have not done a huge amount of shiny hunting in the Safari Zone in Ruby and Sapphire recently, but that will soon be changing with Safari Week, which should be happening this June. And I am super excited to get some more encounters in this zone and hopefully some shinies to add to my belt. Thank you for listening. Bye.